This is the Two Scrappy Chicks podcast where life is messy, the stories are real, and we dare to talk about it anyway.
And I'm back. Real Housewives, the girls trip, 20th anniversary. Okay. So we start off with Kyle is upset and crying. Vicky was consoling her. And I had seen this in online. So Kyle and Mauricio are separated, but they didn't fully file for divorce. I'm not sure if they ever will. But yeah, Kyle was upset. She's like, it's a hard day. And she got a text from him. And he said, I love you. How did we get here? And yeah, I feel bad for Kyle. And Vicky tells her she wished that her and Don were still together and that it still hurts. And Vicky has has regrets. So next they take a party bus to Beverly Hills. And Gizelle and Lisa Barlow, I guess, had a conversation prior, like the night prior, and it was about Vicky being upset what Giselle said to Tamra, and that she was putting Giselle in a box. So Giselle wanted to talk to her about it, and Vicky said that she felt like she was stirring things up with Tamra. I'm out and I have to work because she was on her laptop doing, her insurance work. And then it showed different clips of Sprinter Van recaps from the different seasons of the ladies. Okay, so back to Vicky. So she said she wasn't talking bad about Tamra. She is who she is, and she knows it, that she can be, mean. And just Vicky was being honest. She wasn't saying anything that to them that she wouldn't say to uh excuse me. What she said to them is not something is something that she would say to Tamra to her face as well. So that's what she was getting at. And um Vicky called okay. Um like I said, Vicky said Tamra can be mean, and Vicky admitted she herself can be mean. And that's when Theresa piped up and said, well, you were mean to me yesterday about when her cardboard cutout. Vicky said Theresa has changed the most or something. And I guess Theresa took it as like she had the most work done. But I don't think that's what Vicky was getting at, considering Vicky had plastic surgery because she was teased about her looks. So, she's sensitive with that. And then the other comment when Theresa was trying to talk and Vicky was kind of like cutting her off, and then bringing up pay your taxes. And that was 10 years ago. And Theresa's like, I'm trying to move forward. I don't want to keep having to defend myself, you know? And, the, oh, sorry, gotta stop this yawn and stuff. But Theresa pretty much was saying she doesn't want to keep being reminded of what she did. And Vicky apologized and said, I'm sorry. Maybe I said that from jealousy. And it was the comment that Theresa was overrated because she was doing all these shows and that. So Vicky apologized. So, but I can't see Vicky and Theresa being best friends. That's just the vibe I get from Theresa. So they arrive at the Beverly Hills Hilton, and that is Kathy Hilton, her and her husband. I want to say it's his name is Rich or Rick. That's their hotel, the Hiltons. And oh, since this is Beverly Hills, it's Kyle's town. She's like, let's just stay in and do a pajama party, glam and pajama party. And then Kyle was on the phone talking to Portia, telling her how sad she was, that it was her and Mauricio's anniversary. Portia was talking to her mom on the phone while getting ready. And then Luann was on the phone with her boyfriend Michael, and he's German from Munich, and she sees him when she sees him. And I guess so they were sitting around the couch and there was a coffee table, and Vicky got offended because Luann put a piece of chicken on her plate. So then they get in a silly discussion about it. Um, so yeah, you know, putting different women from different, from the different cities. Some are going to get along, some are going to clash. That's just, the personalities. And then, um, what, I don't know who said this. Someone said to Vicky, "You don't suck penises." And somebody else, and then Vicky goes, "Oh," or I think it was Kyle. "We're not talking about that." So I guess other people didn't know what was going on. And someone made the comment about the penises. And Kyle's like, "No, we're talking about food." And then someone else says clients is her love language. And I guess Luann was calling Vicky controlling, and Vicky's like, "I'm not controlling." And she's like, "Lay off of me." She wants to have fun. And then I think Theresa said Vicky has angry growls. And then Portia was showing her dance moves and saying whiff, whiff, whiff. I have no clue. I've never heard of that dance, but she's got some good dance moves. Kyle did her infamous splits on the couch and did a little twerking of her booty. I think it was Gizelle said, Kyle, Kyle's a white woman in a black woman's body or something like that. It was funny. And then Lisa Barlow did the forward splits on the couch. And then Theresa did a little dance. And then Luann danced on the coffee table. And then they were trying to get Vicky to dance, and Vicky like didn't want to. They're like, "Come on, Vicky, your turn." And then Kyle goes, "We got to talk dirty talk to her." And Kyle goes, "We want to buy a life insurance policy. We're ready to die. Insure me." That was funny. And it was sweet. Lisa Barlow said, she hasn't laughed that hard in a long time because, with her cast, um, it will get that way and then it seems to go south and then there's yelling and arguing. So Portia was talking about before she was married, she had businesses and then she sold them because she got married. And she said, I was actually a housewife. And I think she said she was her husband's Barbie. And then she said it wasn't till she's seen the rest of the girls and their series that she could have it both, have it all. So that's what she did. And I want to say Portia is divorced, and I think she has a girlfriend. So then This is the next morning. The girls are getting ready. Theresa, Portia, and Kyle, and they're gonna go to Sutton's house. Sutton's on Beverly Hills. And the theme is Ugly Leather Pants Party. And that is from when Crystal Minkoff was on Beverly Hills and her and Sutton got into a fight. Sutton called her pants ugly leather pants. And it's funny because Crystal did, come to the party and like all is well. And she was wearing those pants and she goes, and she admitted to Sutton, you know what? They are ugly. She's like, she said she hasn't like worn them in since then, like 5 years ago. Sutton was wearing a dress. It looked leather and she had like leather leggings. And Luann, like they had place cards at the table, and Luann was next to Vicky, and she moved it and wanted to sit next to Sutton. She said, "I need a break from Vicky." And then one of the girls said, "Sutton is bougie." And then now Gizelle is in the hot seat because I guess she did at one time met Mauricio and she thought, he was hot. And I guess she made a comment because I guess he somehow was on her show and she made a comment about she wouldn't mind laying horizontal with him. So Kyle was kind of giving her a hard time about that. And Gizelle said, I'm sorry, that was, inappropriate. And Kyle says, like, I accept it. So, oh, and then also prior to that, they were asking Gizelle about Shannon stealing her date from that hotel dating show that they were on. And she goes, yeah, she took my man, which that's not who Shannon ended up with. She ended up with another guy and they didn't last. Anyway, not Kyle, Sutton passes out these cakes and they're mouse cakes. So they're cakes made of mouse. And the reason for that was a throwback when Sutton said to Dorit, let the mouse go to Dorit. And I can't remember what she meant. And it wasn't like a real mouse. I can't remember what she meant by that. I mean, gosh, that's going back quite a ways. So Sutton decided to make a game of it, let the mouse go. And I guess there was a fan or something that walked up to them and it was on camera and she was talking about her $25,000 sunglasses. So the game was let the mouse go and you go on a scavenger hunt. Two teams, I think Crystal was one uh captain and Kyle was the other. And it was two teams and you had to read the clues and find the things that are in the clues and then it would lead you to the mouse or to the sunglasses with the key and then it would lead you to the mouse who's in the cage. And the one group that won, I think it was Crystal's group that won. And it was a person in this like wooden cage. So it was a person in a costume. So they let the mouse go. So yeah, I thought that was cute, like a scavenger hunt. And next week, ah, Kyle's doing her white party. It looks interesting because I see a couple other people from different franchises. I think I see, well, Erica, she's Beverly Hills. And I don't know if Luann and Erica have beef because Erica walked away from Luann. So I'll have to look into that if there's beef between the two. And then, of course, Whitney from Salt Lake City, there's some conflict there with another girl. So, yeah, I can't wait to, I'll have to look to see how many episodes are there. Maybe, well, I was gonna say if there's 7 of the main girls, I would think it's more than 7 episodes. So I'll have to look into it. But yeah, this is fun. This is really cute. I like this. They got to do this more, getting the girls from the different franchises together. So, all right. Well, that's Real Housewives 20th girls trip. And it is time for me to go to bed. I forgot that the other show, the Suburban Housewives, that new one on TLC, is on tonight. I just did a recap the other day because I didn't realize it started last Sunday. So I will watch that tomorrow and release the recap either tomorrow, like right away, or Tuesday. And then also tomorrow is McBee Dynasty and Dancing with the Stars Pro. So, and then I have 3 episodes left of Stassi. I'm not sure when I will get to that because it's going to be a busy week. And there's like new shows almost every day. So, if some things come out later than usual, that's because I am like running. I am running amok. So, all right. Till next time, keep watching the reality shows. We really appreciate you hanging out with the 2 scrappy chicks today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, download, and share it with a friend. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, just let us know.